Good day, mates. Pat again. This past month I've done a lot of traveling. I got to see and experience a lot of things, which was extremely cool. I also had to do a lot of schoolwork on the road, which definitely was fine, seeing all the things that I got to do. First, we got to go to the zoo and feed the kangaroos. This was really cool because on campus we see kangaroos everywhere, but we're not allowed to feed them. So at the zoo, we had to get some kangaroo food and we were able to go up right to them and feed them. That was really awesome. Then we got to see elephants, which to me was one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to see. Those things were massive, and it was really cool seeing how they used their trunk for just about everything. It was also interesting watching them crush a coconut with their feet and then picking it up piece by piece with their trunk. And then there was these little animals. There was also alligators. There was way too much there for me to talk about here. I could go on for hours about that. It was one of the cooler experiences I've ever seen. It was the biggest zoo I've ever seen in my life. They had the tallest giraffe in the whole world there. It was really awesome to see overall. If anybody's ever in Australia, I would definitely recommend the Australian Zoo because it was hands down gorgeous. It was beautiful. Next, I got to see another soccer game. Previously, we saw England versus Nigeria. Now we got to see England versus Spain in the World Cup final. This was really awesome. Sadly, England lost this one, and the score was 1-0, and I also missed the only goal, sadly. I got up to go to the bathroom and missed the only goal in a 1-0 game. Then you see me doing some work on the beach. This was just after a tough surfing fall. I tried surfing for the first time and I ultimately ate somebody's board. This little jump you saw, we got some of our friends that we've made around here and they brought us to a local spot. And I faced a little height fear and jumped off quite the cliff. Next, we saw another beautiful beach here, this one called Noosa. This beach was about 5 to 6 kilometers long, so we got to see a lot. We saw dolphins here. We saw a lot there. That was awesome. And then we headed to a comedy show. This was one of my personal favorites, as I'm a big comedy fan. So we got to see an hour-long show of Rory Lowe, which was really awesome. The next trip we took was down to Melbourne. This trip was really special to me. We got to see a hockey game, the first ever hockey game on the Southern Hemisphere, where we saw the Kings versus the Coyotes in what was a tennis court originally that they transformed into an NHL rink. We were only here for a quick bit before we headed to New Zealand, Queenstown to be exact. This area was gorgeous. We got to see a lot. The views here were stunning, absolutely the prettiest and most beautiful place I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Right at the beginning here is just our landing where we were going through glaciers. One of the cooler things I thought about this trip was that we stayed in a caravan right next to Lake Wakatipu, which is known as one of the most pure lakes in the whole entire world, rated at about 99.9% pure. When we went, it's during their winter, so it was very cold, and I actually did a polar plunge. It was about 9 to 10 degrees Celsius, which is fairly cold, but felt very refreshing. Again, the views here were insane, gorgeous. We walked around the whole entire lake, about 12 kilometers. What was even cooler to me was that I was able to do a polar plunge one day, and then the next day we got to go skiing. We went up on the mountain called the Remarkables. The views here were also incredible. The views never stopped in New Zealand. The mountain wasn't too big itself, but the views were incredible, and we got a lot of runs in, which was a lot of fun. As you see, I got to drive the boat. I was the sailor for about 3 seconds, so this was pretty cool. And then we went over to Milford Sound, got to feed an alpaca on our way there. There was a whole family of alpacas at a rest stop, which was pretty cool to see. The views on the way to the Milford Sound didn't disappoint. They just continuously got better. And at Milford Sound, we got to see a lot of waterfalls, one of which we got to go right up close to. That definitely ended up soaking me a bit. As you can see, I got to do a lot of traveling recently, but I've been putting my studies first, making sure I've been able to finish up all my work before due dates and making sure I'm ahead in all my studies so I'm ready for finals coming up here soon. And I love sharing all this with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy. So, cheers, mates.